Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Rudine, the Foundation Director at Hiawatha Homes Foundation. Thank you so much for joining me for another Community Conversations with Hiawatha Homes. This is a series where we have discussions focused on disability services and other important issues facing our community here at Hiawatha. Today, we'll be discussing everyday life at our community based homes, as well as sharing some stories from living at our homes from the perspective of both our staff and the individuals who call Hiawatha home. I'm happy to have Cassandra Emmons here with me today. She's a program manager at Hiawatha Homes. Also, we have Rose, and she lives at one of our Hiawatha homes. They are in the office together, so that's exciting. Thank you both for joining me today and sharing a little bit about yourselves. I'm going to pass it over to you now, Cassandra, to introduce yourself, and then I'll pass it over to Rose. So, hey.
All right. I am, as Stephanie said, Cassandra Emmons. I have worked at Hiawatha Homes. It'll be 10 years in June. I started off as a house coordinator of the Butler House, and then added the Eastwood House, which is where Rosemary lives. And then a year ago in January was promoted to the management spot. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Cassandra. And then Rose, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Rose. I have lived at Hiawatha Homes for 45 years. I was born in Iowa and lived with my family until I was 17. I moved to Hiawatha Homes when they opened in 1976. I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. Also my sister and brother-in-laws.
Thank you, Rose. And you said, what was it, 45, 46 years you've lived at Hiawatha?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a long time. I've only been with the organization 6 months, so I'm definitely the newbie. But yeah, thank you so much. Cassandra, I want to start with you and ask you a question. For those who don't know, can you explain a little bit about what your day-to-day work is like at Hiawatha as a program manager? And kind of along with that, what's most important to you in your work?
Sure. So as a program manager, I oversee 6 programs. So I have 6 house coordinators or supervisors under me. Currently, with the climate and kind of things how things are right now, I'm also the acting supervisor of 2 houses. So I'm the house coordinator of those homes. So day to day is very different. It kind of just depends on who needs what. Open hours, meetings. I spend a lot of time these days in the houses, doing a lot of direct care, which is okay with me because that's probably my favorite part of the job is just being in the homes, hanging out with these guys. They're the reason, obviously, I'm still here 10 years later, is being able to be with them and do stuff with them. So some days, though, might be a lot of office, behind the scenes paperwork, just making sure we're up to compliance on everything and meetings for the individuals. So that's my other probably favorite part is no 2 days are the same. So it just kind of depends on the first thing that gets to me in the morning, and then it rolls from there.
Yeah, awesome. And Cassandra, do you mind explaining a little bit about what the direct cares part, kind of you said one of your favorite parts, what that looks like a little bit?
Sure. So all of our houses require staffing 24 hours a day. So typically we have 2 staff there from 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. every day in the majority of our houses. So I work a lot of evenings right now, so a lot of 2 to 10s. And that, we get people home from their day programs, get them settled for the night, get supper, we make supper. It's like a typical household after work. You come home, you want to relax, kick your shoes off. So we help them do that and support them. Dinner, we help them feed dinner, eat dinner, and then just kind of whatever's left for the rest of the night. Some people, like to curl up in their favorite chair or bed and watch TV. Others, they like to hang out with us as staff and play games, or we assist them with doing things like looking at Facebook, answering emails, using technology. We've used a lot of technology lately to do like FaceTime with family members and chatting. Now that things are lightening up a little bit in our community, it might mean taking people out to eat with family members or out to eat just with staff. some of our individuals are self-advocates, so we spend time taking them to different like ARC meetings or those kinds of things, or they may have a job in the community in the evening, so we take them to that. And then the finishing is just getting them ready for bed. So all personal cares, they're completely dependent on us for assistance to get changed, teeth brush, shower, all those good things, and get ready for bed.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing. And I think, it really showed, as you said, that every day is different, which I think, like you said, is a really positive part of the job. And of course, every individual is different too with what they want to do and what their needs are. So with that, I'd love to pass it over to Rose to get your perspective on what you like best about living at Hiawatha and how Hiawatha helps you meet your needs and goals, Rose.
There you go. Hiawatha Homes Eastwood House is my home and I really love it. It was built to meet my needs. I can be very independent. The staff that are at Hiawatha and work with me support me in being as independent as possible. I also have a large family with lots of gatherings. My staff are always willing to take me to get together so I can see them. I really care about my staff and love them for all they do.
Thank you, Rose. And I think, talking about how much you love the staff, I know you and Cassandra are close. Cassandra, I know you're often on the weekends at the house, kind of doing that direct care work you were saying, even though you're a program manager. So I'd love, Rose, if you could share, if you would like to, a memory or a time with Cassandra that's meaningful to you, since I know you both have, a close relationship over the years.
There you go. Good job.
Cassandra always listens to me. She takes the time to understand what's wrong and supports me.
Yep, that's that one. Nope, Robert. So Rose and I talked a little bit about this together. One other thing we talked a lot is, in the, I think we figured it out yesterday, 8 years that I have been working at Eastwood specifically, taking care of Rose. We've seen lots of ups and downs. And one of her other things we talked a little bit about is, being there for her in those situations, like when she's in the hospital and she's not feeling good. And times are like those tough times when, especially during COVID, when it was just us that could be. Mm-hmm. So knowing that she had that support system and people knowing that I was around, and that I could be there to help and support her when her family might not have been able to.
Yeah, and I think that consistency, Cassandra, I'm sure was really important for Rose, and I'm sure important for you too, Cassandra, to have, an individual that you have gotten close to and been able to help for many years.
Can you tell me, Alex, what else do you feel? How do you feel about me? All right. Kyle says it all.
Thank you, Rose. And then, so Cassandra, your relationship with Rose, how has that evolved over time? You talked a little bit about how during COVID, it was just the two of you. But I mean, I imagine when you first started, it took some time for you to figure out each other's personalities. Is that true?
Yeah. So, and Rose will talk a little bit about it later, but she, like she said, she's very independent and she likes to be respected in those choices. So it can take a long time for Rose to let people in and get to know her. And then she has some pretty specific cares in the way that she likes things done. So I started supporting the Eastwood House and the individuals that live there in 2014. So it took, I'd say, at least the first year to get to know Rose and get used to her things. And then things have really changed over the years. That one time Rose liked to be out and about, but it was only with staff or like one-to-one outings. And now, it's shifted to more things like what can we do at home? How can we support you and still be independent? And like Rose said, lots of family outings. She goes to more weddings in a year than I probably have in my whole life. But I mean, those are the fun, getting to know, her family, becoming, a part of her family. Lots of births. She's got lots of nieces and nephews that have had babies and celebrating all those, times with her. It just builds that relationship on a different level than other kinds of jobs, because you're really involved in an integral part of their life.
Yeah. Thank you, Cassandra. I think that was, a great explanation. And then sorry, were you trying to say something, Rose? Or okay. I have another question, Rose, for you. At Hiawatha, and I think just as a whole with our general community, we're always seeing how we can improve our services, how we can do a better job, just in everything that we do. So I'd love to hear from your perspective, Rose. What are some of the current challenges that you found living at Hiawatha? And, how do you think we can always be improving?
The biggest challenge for me at Hiawatha is that my staff leave a lot. It takes a while for people to get to know me and understand my cares. Just when I start to feel comfortable, they take another job. It makes my stomach anxious and hurts my heart.
Oh.
And then to answer the second part, she has if you want to hit that other button right there.
Okay.
If we could pay our staff a living wage so they don't have to work 2 jobs or lots of overtime, they wouldn't get so tired and want to leave us for something else.
Thank you, Rose. I think it's really meaningful to hear that from you. And I think that plays in well, Cassandra, to what you were saying of, it took you, didn't you say, a year for you to understand some of Rose's personality, her needs, her independence.
Yeah.
So, really wanting that kind of retention. Do you agree with Rose about these challenges, Cassandra? And what is your perspective on that?
I do. I think that retention is probably an area that we struggle just keeping staff once we get them in the door. And there's, I think, a lot of factors that play into it. Rose said, a lot of people have to work multiple jobs or lots of overtime, and that just leads to burnout. We have, other areas in the community that pay a little more than we do, or are able to pay more than we do. So we lose, staff to that because they can do the similar work for a little, better wage. So I think that tends, we tend to struggle with those things. But then you do have the diehard staff who are here, a handful of people, myself included, who, over the years we've stuck it out. And a lot of that is because of the individuals like Rose. So I think that once staff have been here long enough and build that relationship, that that tends to keep people. So it's, kind of a give or take there, I guess.
Yeah. And how do you see Hiawatha, trying to meet some of these challenges? As you said, some of it can be beyond our control, but I know that, like you said, you stuck around because of how close you've become with the individual, with Rose and a lot of the other people that we support. How do you see Hiawatha kind of trying to meet this challenge and all those kinds of things?
So I think that we do, as an agency, we do a really good job of advocating for our staff's needs. Our CEO takes it, as far as she can in the state and all the way to the legislators, and make sure that our voices are heard. And I'm co-chair the legislative committee. And we do put a lot of time and energy into making sure that the people who do control our wages can hear us and hear our staff's concerns. I think that we do a good job spotlighting our individuals that can advocate for themselves so that their voices are heard and they can tell people, what they need and how best to support them. I think that, as again, back to COVID, as things have shifted, we've done a really good job as an agency figuring out how to be technologically savvy. So still being able to meet their needs, still getting, that community involvement and getting to know people, whether it's via Zoom or volunteers or people coming into the houses. So I think that, we're on the right track, trying to, that community involvement and finding those natural supports, and just, letting staff see the other side and letting people in the community see the other side of their lives and the good stuff. So.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm going to use that for like a natural plug for a few things we have, if that's okay, Cassandra.
Yeah.
One is that it's volunteer month, so we'll put some links in the chat for, people to sign up to volunteer and get involved in that way. Like you were saying, Cassandra, that can help, I think, a lot with individuals and with, helping staff as well. So that's an area we really want to encourage more people to volunteer. We can also have a link to advocacy efforts, which are still going on, which is so important to raise wages, to, provide other benefits, things like that. And then, of course, since I'm on the foundation team, I'm also going to plug, we're doing some fundraising right now as well for staff retention and recruitment as well, which is essential. And I think, if anyone listening, whether staff or community, just the general community, there's tons of ways to get involved and really make a difference. And that's what's great about Hiawatha. Before we end this conversation, I'd love to know if there's anything you'd want to add, Rose. And thank you so much for spending some time and going live. I mean, that's pretty crazy. So
anything else you want to add? Feel good? Okay. And just, with the volunteer thing, Rose and I will add that there's lots of things, people can do. Rose loves to do puzzles, color. We have individuals in other homes who like to play games, Uno. So it doesn't have to be, the nitty gritty like DSP work, just that simple sitting on the swing with somebody and getting that one-on-one attention, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great plug. Thank you, Cassandra. And we can make the hours work for anyone who wants to volunteer. That's another great thing is, it can be after work, it can be during work if you're retired. So there's tons of opportunities. So we'll definitely link that. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Rose. I don't know if you've been on anything live before, but you did an awesome job, and you did too, Cassandra. All righty. Thank you all. And thanks for joining us for another community conversation. And we are going to have another one later in April, actually with one of our volunteers, Lori Brownell, who's going to talk a little bit about a little bit more about volunteering. So that'll be an awesome one to join as well. So thank you.
Thank you.